All right, hello, Year Sevens. We're going to be wrapping up our stats unit this week. It's another interrupted unit for us again. That means we won't be able to finish the posters that we were working on in class. Unfortunately, all that stuff's at school. We also won't worry about doing a post test for this unit because it's just a bit of a hassle for you guys, like stuck doing tests at home, then trying to hand them in over the internet. So we're pretty happy with the way you guys have learnt the stuff. So the last thing we're going to be doing for this unit is just having a play around with some technology, just some programs on the computer, basically to understand that like stats are an important real life thing, but for the most part, you guys won't have to be out there in your jobs, whatever they are, calculating your means and your medians and your modes yourself, right? You won't be there with a calculator adding up all your numbers and then dividing by because uh, if you are working with stats and with data in your job, there'll be a machine out there, a computer out there doing all the work for you. Okay, it is important you have an understanding of what you're learning. Just so you know if the computer's made a mistake or not, you can interpret what the computer's doing for you. But for the most part, stats is a pretty technology-driven topic. So we're going to just spend the next couple of classes just playing with technology, organizing some data, making some graphs, and submitting that as our final stats piece of work. So for the most part, we're working with Microsoft Excel. It's good to get to know this program. It's my favorite computer program. I do use it a fair bit just in my spare time, just for fun, uh, making lists of data, organizing graphs. You know, everybody needs a hobby, and it's mine. So Microsoft Excel is really, really useful, and most people should have a copy of it on the school computers. If you've got it, you might have it on your home computer. If you don't have Microsoft Excel, you should be able to open up your browser and look up Google Sheets, and I believe you'll be able to log into Google Sheets using the same login that you would for Google Classroom, or you might even just be able to use it without logging in. You should be able to save a spreadsheet through that and work through that. But for the most part, and they do look very, very similar, so I'll be working with Microsoft Excel and just showing you how that works, and we'll get our head around it. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind, a lot of people get frustrated when they're learning Excel just because of how fiddly and kind of tricky to navigate people can find it to start with. So you might accidentally click in the wrong spot. Instead of clicking in the middle of a cell in Excel, you might click in the corner. You might not click and drag properly. You might do something wrong. It's always good to remember that you can just undo anything you've done. So if you stuff up, all right, you can't break anything too badly. Control Z is always your best friend because it'll just undo the last thing you did. There is an undo button up the top as well. I'll be showing you step by step the stuff that we're expecting you to do. Okay, so some of you might have Excel experience, you might know what's going on, you might have done this before. If so, you'll fly through it and have a good time. If not, I'll try and show you step by step what we are doing and watch the video slowly, pause after each step. Don't watch the whole thing in one go, right? Follow your instructions that are attached. When you get to each new step, feel free to watch the part of the video that goes with it, right? But if you stuff up, you can undo it and you can try again. So hopefully you guys have read your instructions already and you'll have seen that what we're asking you to do to generate the data that we're going to be working with in Excel, you'll need to actually measure each room of your house. Uh, so we're essentially saying to start in at one side of a room and then just walk to the other side of the room and count how many steps it takes to get from one end to the other. That'll be the length. And then you'll have to do the same going sideways, all right? So that'll be the width. And we want you to do that for each room. Try and be consistent with which is length and with which is width. That'll really help you kind of be accurate. But again, it doesn't really matter if you're off by half a step here or half a step there, or if the bed's in the way, you can estimate, right? It doesn't matter if the numbers are perfect. We just need numbers that we can work with, that are somewhat realistic, right? So your bedroom's probably not 57 steps wide, right? So if you have to estimate or if you have to fudge the numbers a little bit, that's fine. But we do want you to just try and get realistic data from going to every room in the house, walking long, walking wide. All right. All right, what you'll have to do next is get that raw data and put it into your spreadsheet. So you'll be opening up Microsoft Excel. Save your file as soon as you start. Right, you can call it, I don't know, stats project or something like that. We're asking you to make headings that stand out. Okay, so probably in your top row, uh, you'll want your 4 columns. So you'll want the room, you'll want the width, you want the length, then you'll want area. because we're going to be calculating that in a moment. If you want to make cells wider or narrower, you can, so it looks nice. Okay, you can bold, underline, whatever. You can make the font size bigger or smaller. Just try and make those headings stand out. And I always think it's nice if I just select all my data. Right, you can always click in a cell and just drag across the whole thing. I like to make mine nice and centered rather than being at one side or the other. I just think it looks nice. So essentially, you'll have a list of rooms with their names, and again, the names don't really matter, right? You can call it bedroom 1 or bedroom 2 or my bedroom or sister's bedroom. If you're not sure of the name of a room, you just make up a name for it. It's fine. Right? We're not taking it too seriously. Make sure the widths and the links all line up with each other, and then leave the area blank because we'll be getting to that next. All right, so the next thing we'll ask you to do is just learn how to organize your data. I think at some point the task might ask you to sort it in order of area from largest to smallest. We don't have area yet, but I'll show you how to sort your data just so you can have it in whatever order you want. So right now I've got it in alphabetical order, but we could make it so it goes in order from kind of smallest to biggest in width or smallest to biggest in length, and then when the area's there, we can do that too. So basically, you'll want to click and drag and just have all the data that you've got involved. You might have a bigger list than me, that's fine. Just click and drag till everything's involved. There's going to be a sorting button over here, sort and filter, and you can sort from A to Z. And the good part is because we've got nice clear headings up the top and it's pretty clear that these are our headings, it's not putting like R for room like down there or anything like that. It's just sorting them from A to Z. I can go from Z to A. Now the toilet's on top, you know, everyone's favorite room in the house, and then the bathroom's now on the bottom. We can then do a custom sort. So we could sort by width. We could go largest to smallest or smallest to largest. And then all of a sudden I've got the smallest width to the biggest width there. All right, so this button's very useful. All right, alphabetical order or a custom sort. And because we've got nice headings and we included the headings when we clicked and we dragged, we can choose how we want to arrange it, right? So eventually you'll end up clicking area and there'll be numbers in there. So they'll be asking you to go from smallest to biggest. All right, so the best thing about Excel is that it's basically a built-in calculator that does formulas and calculations and computations for you. You can just type in words and you can type in numbers and it'll keep them for you. But where it's at its best and most powerful is when it's doing some maths for you or adding something up for you. And you do that by just always starting with an equal sign with whatever you type into a cell. If you type an equal sign in, you're asking Excel to give you an answer to a question. So it can do basic maths for you. It can use operators, so you can use the plus button or the minus button, which is like your hyphen button on the keyboard. The star, which is usually above the number 8, like Shift 8, is what they use for timesing, for multiplying, because the letter X is the letter X. We don't use that. And a forward slash like this is the divided by symbol because it looks like a fraction, right? So if you type this into Excel, it'll give you an answer, all right? 7 plus 4 divided by 2. All right, so let's just see if it's any good. Let's see if it knows its BODMAS, because hopefully some of you aren't sitting there and thinking that the answer is 5.5, because it isn't, right? I think Excel will know its BODMAS. So if I go into any cell and I start typing equals 7 plus 4 slash 2, which means divided by 2, hit enter, and it equals 9, right? Because 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 7 plus 2 is 9. Right, so we can put any equal sign, any sum we want, right? It knows 1 plus 1, right? It knows 1 times 1. You can use brackets and things like that as well, right? 1 plus 1 times 50 to the power of 3. Right, it even uses powers as well. You won't need that. And there, I get a nice big number, right? So Excel will do maths for you when you can't be bothered. All right, so what's even more impressive than its ability to just use numbers is that if you've got data that you've already typed in or things that you want to stay there and you want to do some maths with them, you can refer to the cells that they're in. All right, so what I've got here in this example is I put the number 6 in cell A2 and the number 7 in the cell A3. And if I type this into Excel equals A2 times A3, it'll actually just look for what numbers are in that cell, and it'll times them together for me. If I type it in here, it would actually spit out the number 42. All right, and the fun part about this is I can actually change these numbers now, and this formula remains intact. So if I cross this number out here, and I turn it into a 10 instead of a 6, then it'll actually change its answer to become 70, and it'll respond to that. Right, so being able to like put in a particular cell is really, really useful. Yeah, and being able to multiply a couple of cells together is really, really useful for you guys right now because you're actually being asked to find area and to use a formula to do it. So because we're assuming that all of your rooms are rectangles, and if your rooms aren't perfectly rectangular, let's just pretend they are. Unless if you have a trapezium shaped room or something, you can look up the trapezium formula and try and use it, but I wouldn't recommend it. So essentially, they're all rectangles, and you guys know that the formula for the area of a rectangle is length times width, right? That's area. So we have the length and we have the width in here. So we want to times those two things together. So to practice using a formula, we're going to ask Excel to multiply this one. So I can hit equals, I can click on that one if I want. And I use the star button for the times, and then I can click on that one. So I'm saying go C2 times D2. And the answer should be 2. And I can do that again. I could then go C3 times D3 to get the area of 6. Or you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner of each cell, there's a bold box there. If I grab that and I drag it down, I can ask Excel to apply what I've been doing to other numbers as well. And I don't have to type them all in. Then I get my area. And then if I want to sort it, smallest to biggest, I can now actually have the numbers there organized for me. And there they are. Okay, so using that multiplication thing in the cells is the quickest way to find the area of all your rooms. All right, now even more exciting for you guys is the fact that Excel has a lot of pre-built stuff in it, pre-built math stuff, so you don't have to kind of teach Excel how to do something, because we're now going to ask you to find the average for your area. So you don't have to ask Excel to go plus, 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 and then divide at the end. You don't have to make it that complicated, because Excel actually has an average or mean function built into it. So basically by going equals average, Excel knows what's going on. You just have to tell it which cells you want to average out. And you can find a median, the middle number. It'll find your maximum number, your biggest one. It'll find your smallest number. And it'll even add up everything for you. By using the sum button, it'll add up all the numbers in a list. Okay, so we're going to be asking you to make a few headings removed from your data. So I've just prepared this one earlier. We'll just get rid of that. So we're looking for the mean area, the average, that is, the median, the middle, the maximum, the minimum, and the total. And yes, you can probably see here's the minimum, here's the maximum. You might even be able to see the middle, but we're practicing using the formulas. Okay, so essentially the way it's done for any of these functions is you'll start with equal, and if you start to type something in, it'll come up with some suggestions. So we just want the average, and then it's going to need the cells put in the brackets. Okay, so you can click it and you can drag if you want, or you can type this in. So you can see how it's structured. It's got to be the top cell, so that's E2 in this case, and then it's a colon, right, the two dots, and then it's the bottom one. So it's E2 colon E9. You close the brackets, you hit enter, and it gives me my average. So if I want to do the same thing for median, right, it's found the median function for me, and I'll type this one in. So I'm going from E2 to E9. And it'll show me that highlight, close my bracket, hit enter, and it'll find that for me. Okay, so you can apply that to the maximum, to the minimum, to the total, and then you've got all your summary data right there in front of you. Okay, so you don't have to do any maths yourself, and this is how it works in life. This is how it works in your jobs, right? When we're calculating like your average test scores or anything like that at school, we're not sitting there with our calculators. We just put them in a spreadsheet. We ask it to do the work for us. So you're kind of learning how powerful it can be to have control of the computer, of the program, to just get it to do the work for you. It's much quicker, much easier, much more efficient, and you're on your way to learning how that works. So that should just about be all we have time for in today's session. It should take you a fair bit of time to step out all your rooms, get all your data in, get to know the program, watch the video, pause it, and get all your stuff in and done. So uh, that with Mathletics on top as well, I think that's enough for one session. Coming back tomorrow on Wednesday, you guys will get a chance to turn this data into some graphs, some that we've done before in class and some that we haven't, to just practice displaying your data in different ways and to just be able to analyze it and just pick some of the information out from it. Over these next couple of classes, we'll try and be on Google Meet a bit more, just in case you guys get stuck, because you can get stuck using a program you haven't used before, and that way we can share screens or whatever and try and get you through this little Excel program uh, lesson. So hopefully you have fun going and measuring your house and getting all your stuff organized and making the machine do all the work for you. So you don't even have to think about what an average is. You just tell Excel to do it for you. All right, good luck with it. We'll see you on Google Meet.